we were there to watch him in the studio create some of these paintings over the years.
Remember that one being in the studio?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was planned well before his death, and he was just so over the moon about this idea.
If they didn't get his work before, they'll get it now.
Oh, yeah.
The ferries passing by him, he would have just been blown away.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful way to say goodbye, even though he didn't know it was actually saying goodbye at the time.
I've got all sorts of little details.
Dad painted the mural inside the Sydney Opera House, and for that painting to be projected on the outside of the Opera House is a wonderful full circle.
And there's that reflection of the colour in the water, which he was always talking about.
Yes.
Before he passed away, I was able to show him a little mock-up or an animation of what the Opera House was going to look like. And he was so moved to see what they were able to create with his work. There was actually a little tear that ran down his face, even though he was unable to speak. But it was really like, that's my final statement.
Oh, there's too red.
It's too red.
Mix it with burnt sienna. It's that tone there, see that?
Yeah, okay.
John Olsen is one of the great survivors of Australian art. He's in the top of the pantheon of our greatest painters.
The thing is that it's an overview of the landscape as though we're flying over the top of it, and this road.
Art is a river that's run through our family and definitely sort of fed us and looked after us. And it runs in our veins.
It's something like writing the landscape. I'm an artist, as a dog is a dog. I didn't choose my profession. It chose me.
My next guest tonight has risen to become one of Australia's leading painters. Ladies and gentlemen, John Olsen.
Everything in his life was at the convenience of his genius, for his genius to be protected, and he was ruthless about that. And he would walk away from a relationship if it meant to preserve better his genius.
Parents can cast a shadow of great light. It's kind of a paradox in a way. Even though he casts great light, for me it became a shadow, that I would never be as interesting as him.
Yes,
John,
good morning.
Lisa, this lovely is to have you. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's good.
Tim, nice to see you.
Good to see you. Awesome. We're so excited to have you.
I saw how Dad was loved so much. I wanted to be loved as much as him.
Tim put so much emphasis on the greatness of his father and made his father big, and I think as a consequence, perhaps he made himself small.
My father was never given a handbook on how to be a father, because his own father didn't have one either.
Born in Newcastle in 1928, it was an uncultured childhood. There were no books, no music.
Dad had a tough childhood at times with a father who was absent, who also suffered terribly from the war and fell into alcoholism.
I began as an artist at age 4, and my mother complaining about me scribbling in her cooking books.
I remember him telling me stories about when he was at school and all he could think about was drawing.
It was a calling, and his puberty and skyrocketing